Stardust was released in 2007 and was directed by Matthew Vaughn and is based off of the novel by Neil Gaiman and stars Charlie Cox, Claire Danes, and Michelle Pfeiffer, and follows the story of a young man that lives in 1800s England in a small town that is beside a giant wall. And when his love asks for him to bring him a fallen star, he crosses over the wall into a fantasy world to discover that the star is actually a woman. And so he decides to bring this woman back to the real world while he is being chased by an evil witch that is seeking eternal youth by stealing the star's heart. Guys, I am really excited to talk about Stardust on this channel. I absolutely adore this film. Every time I have seen it, it has just taken me on a magical journey that I have never forgotten. Stardust came out at a time where fantasy was in a really weird place. The Lord of the Rings had already happened, and since then there had been several fantasy movies that came out, very high caliber too, that just didn't really fit with audiences that well. Some of them were successes, others were not. You had things like The Chronicles of Narnia, you had Aragon, and then you had movies like Stardust, which I think blow all of them out of the water. Stardust is just an absolute classic fantasy story that is charming, beautifully shot, beautifully acted, and just a whole lot of fun. And to me, it is the modern day equivalent of The Princess Bride in terms of how it is so self-aware and just so enjoyable to watch. I first discovered Charlie Cox when he was cast as Daredevil in the Netflix Daredevil show, but here, this is probably one of the earliest roles I had seen him in, and he is absolutely fantastic as the main character, Tristan. He is gullible, he is a hopeless romantic, trying to impress somebody that will never actually love him, and I love his journey throughout this story, and it's just so much fun. He is so likable in this role, and his camaraderie with everybody he meets, Claire Danes in particular, is just so well done. I absolutely love him. I love all the performances in this movie. Claire Danes is fantastic. She is so likable and fun and witty, and she's just absolutely amazing. But to me, the two people that steal the show throughout this entire movie are Michelle Pfeiffer as the witch and Robert De Niro as a cross-dressing pirate. These are fantastic performances. I love how over-the-top and evil Michelle Pfeiffer can be, as well as being pretty sexy as well. But she's so great as this villain that is just trying to get her youth back, and she will go to any length to try to get that back. And there's this wonderful sequence where she kind of tricks Claire Danes into staying the night in this inn, and she has this like stable boy pretending to be a woman, and she turns this goat into a man, played by the actor that plays Arthur Weasley, and things do not go completely perfect for her. The goat turned into a man still acts like a goat, and it's so much fun. But also, Robert De Niro is great as this cross-dressing pirate who's afraid of his crew finding out because he's just afraid that they won't respect him as much, and it's really well done. This is one of my favorite Robert De Niro performances, just on the fact of how much fun he is clearly having in this movie. It's so enjoyable. I also like some other little things throughout, such as all the actors that are playing these ghosts. So throughout this story, there is a group of brothers that are set to, one of them is to be king. And so they're all killing each other off in very interesting ways to try to get one of them to be king. And it's so much fun because when these characters die, they return as ghosts, but they return as ghosts in the form in which they left this world. So if somebody went splat and fell on the pavement down below, then they have a flattened face. If somebody died naked, they appear as a ghost naked. And it's just a lot of fun. It's the best bit of comedy throughout the entire film, and it's so enjoyable. I also think the third act of this film is very well done, with a beautiful, beautiful set and just a great action scene to boot. This film has a really good sword fight scene between a very dead Mark Strong and Charlie Cox, and it's just wonderfully choreographed and just really enjoyable. But I also love not just the comedy, not just the action, but the love story as well, which I think is very well done here. Despite being pretty simplistic, it's still just a lot of fun and so enjoyable, and you just get wrapped up in this world, and you don't care that it's simplistic, and you don't care that the CGI is a little outdated. You're just in for the ride, and it's so much fun. I also really appreciate that Matthew Vaughn was able to take this big of a step, especially after making only one film prior to this, a very low budget film with Daniel Craig. And then he was able to really go all in and tell this fantasy epic. It's really impressive, and it's why he is definitely one of my favorite filmmakers working today. Just how he is able to make such a large film with such a small background is just incredible. Guys, I absolutely love this film, from the characters to the romance to the storytelling to the fantasy elements. All of it just seems to work for me, and it's one of my absolute favorite fantasy films of all time. I really wish that this movie had gotten a bigger audience, that it had made more money when it was released, because I think it's just absolutely incredible and endearing, and it's one of those films that I could watch over and over. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I'm going to give Stardust a 9 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And stay positive.